Hi, my name's Les Lamont. I'm here today for you to understand what it means to be an Imagineer. It means that you have the ability to think beyond where you start in life and to seek out who you are and where your passions will lead you. As it's always said that if you can find something you really like to do, you'll never work again in your life. Because it was people like Walt Disney that influenced me early in my life. Following his imaginary trail of developing, Disneyland. I'm sure you've been to Disneyland or Disney World or heard of it for sure and seen all of his movies. All very inspirational and very exciting stuff. It was all a part of my life and my beginnings. I found that listening to what he was doing and listening to how he wanted always to improve upon becoming an Imagineer and to making it the best Imagineering, and their products are all over the world and one of the most successful companies. He did become one of my clients, so I was very thankful to know a lot about Disney. Like that of Michelangelo, who had a huge block of marble, and he said, well, what's going to come from that? What are you going to make? And he'd say, well, it'll speak to me and it'll come forth as I chisel away at this stone. So Michelangelo was trying to release whatever was in the stone. This is kind of how I see my life. We have passions in our life. Our artistic and our intellectual passions are inside of us, and we need to release them. So I did tell my story of how I took simply $14 one day and put together an idea that I had and sent it out to the world. The interesting result was that my product was all of a sudden accepted worldwide. And I got orders immediately from places like Argentina and Spain and all over the world. Passion turned into a business that some would call it upside down business. In other words, most of my business was outside the United States before it actually was in the United States. I call it garage to global. Very unique thing. Not everybody thinks about that. Most people think about business, they have the concept of starting here, building up and becoming something out to the world, and they accepted it right off the bat. Disney was not interested in my product until they saw it in Tokyo. And once they got that, it was like the whole East Coast of the United States was using my product because it was so terribly lightweight and portable. And other companies came on like Universal Studios and World Vision International, Compassion International, a lot of these large companies, and eventually Best Buy was one of my clients. And in the case of Best Buy, we saved them over $1 million a year and $3 million over the 3 years they used my product. So it's been an interesting ride. Tells you a complete story of how I got into the business. I found out how to do the product, and I just used the three-legged stool that I had. My three-legged stool was that my grandfather taught me how to make kites. I went to school to be a designer and an artist, and I was also an Eagle Scout. So those things came together in my product because it basically, the product was a tent structure that the floor became the graphic, and that's what made it lightweight. So I followed the concepts and innovated on the lightweight tents systems and designs. So that's kind of where that came from. Interesting enough, as you build a company, you also have other connections. One of my connections, as you can see from right here in my hat, is that eventually I found a connection to the South Sudanese people, and I worked with the South Sudanese people for the last 22 years. And the trips three times there, and I've been working with the government there and other things and doing design and urban planning and all kinds of things. So these original graphic design, artistic abilities and all that have now turned into what I call an Imagineer. Just like Disney was an Imagineer, he had to find those who could do all the animatronics and all the different things that building the trains and things that he wanted to do, the monorail, the South Sudanese possibly putting in a monorail to actually help them produce their pipeline for oil in their country. So this is where Imagineer starts. It starts at a young level, but I learned from my grandfather, as I said, and from there my company blossomed, and then also my opportunities blossomed. Eventually went to making music, and because music's always been a part of my life, and what I did was I went into prison work with Prison Fellowship. Then I went to Hollywood and actually found a woman who teaches Hollywood filmmaking and story writing. And I asked her if she would help me to write my books. So from that, I took what she taught me and put it into a book style for everyone to read. It's also about songwriting. Those things, the little tips that I picked up, are all in the book. So that if you're just starting out in music or just starting out in songwriting, you don't know what to do, this is a very good place to start. My experiences in Africa, when I first went there, I had to have solar panels in order just to charge my cell phone. We were out in the sticks, out in the bush. I didn't want to take a chance of not being able to take photos. This one is a result because I made a product that ended up to be a product that many people like and have built, and I've trained them in solar and also how to build this. This is a complete book on how to build it. It's very visual. You don't have to read much. And it tells you how to do building a solar charger so that you can plug in any solar panel into this little guy here, and it'll grab the energy and keep it for you so you can use it while you're out camping or whatever you want to do, or for emergency purposes. So I almost forgot, because it's a very important thing you need to know. You heard me talk about $14 of investment. You didn't hear what the end result was. Well, over those 14 years, I made $14 million in revenue. It's no small thing. It was a very big challenge for a guy who was an artist, not necessarily an accountant or someone who was in how to maximize all your funds and everything else. I had to learn all those things, and I had to have other people around me that helped me. So that's why you need a little bit of help. I know you do, because everyone does. Everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs a reflector to look into and to help you decide what your future looks like. How can we Imagineer your future? And how can we help you to discover your core passions? They're very important. And I hope you can, and I hope this book will get you to where you want to be in your life, and your core passions will become the thing in you that drives you forward and makes you so very, very successful. So thank you very much for listening. Those are my books, my life. You've heard a little bit of my story of my life, and I want to share it with you. So please buy my book, and let's talk some further. Maybe even have me come and be a speaker for you. I'd love to be able to share all of the wealth that I've been given, and I thank you very much for listening. Bye now.